Thank you for tuning into The Balancing Fact. I'm Angela Calais, and I've been working as a full-time realtor for the past 16 years. With 3 kids running a real estate brokerage, I work to dispel the myth that you cannot have a work-life balance when working in real estate. That balance looks different for everybody. Today my guest is Cara Ameer. Cara brings a unique perspective to real estate as a bi-coastal agent and is licensed to practice in California and Florida with Coldwell Banker. After building a highly successful real estate career in Northeast Florida, Cara has expanded her business to Southern California and is based in coastal Orange County. She is an award-winning realtor, real estate media commentator, author, columnist, industry thought leader, and speaker. Cara provides media commentary to a variety of local and national news outlets in print and on camera, and is always at the ready to share her insight on a wide range of topics, from insider advice, how to get the best deal when buying and selling, as well as the latest trends in residential real estate. As a result of Cara's thought leadership and fresh perspective, she is a recurring columnist for Inman News and has been a guest contributor for Coldwell Banker's national blog, Blue Matter. Cara also provides perspective for Realtor.com on celebrity real estate, buying and selling trends, and general advice. You can also find her sharing her insights on Realtor.com's video series, House Rules. She has authored her first book, Real Estate Confidential, and also speaks on topics for the Residential Council of Real Estate Specialists. Cara's unique perspective allows a lot of insight on balancing a career in real estate. Good morning, Cara. How are you?
I'm doing great, Angela. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining me. So I first was introduced unilaterally to you through your presence at Inman. And I was really intrigued by the things that you had to say and thought that that would be really beneficial to anybody who might be listening to the podcast that I'm doing. So I'm really, really grateful that you're willing to take the time and share your insight with my listeners.
Well, I'm excited to be here and look forward to our conversation.
Yeah, me too. So tell us first, you are a bi-coastal agent. So what areas do you serve?
So I cover Northeast Florida, which is outside of Jacksonville, all the way down to St. Augustine, and in California, based in Orange County.
Okay. Tell me how that happened. How did that become?
Yeah. It's not like you just sort of decide you're going to, end up in California. Well, I have family and friends in Southern California, and we've been coming out to the area for a long time, spending a lot of family vacations. And with my husband's business, there was just more out here for him as well. So it kind of got us thinking, because we would come out here between Christmas and the New Year's and the holidays every year. And we started getting the bug long before we ever did this about what would it be like to move here. And so, kind of started watching real estate, and we bought a property that was going to be our investment property, second home, if you will. And I'm glad we did that, because that was before everything got crazy with the pandemic.
Okay.
And
yeah.
I got my license, although I wasn't, going to be practicing right away. I knew it was going to take some time to get a license, especially when you're working in real estate full time in another market. Mm-hmm. And the California license is not, one class, one and done in 2 weeks. It's like 6 books this thick.
Okay.
So I got my license ahead of time, and then we plotted out, we were going back and forth a lot, and then plotted out our relocation. And it took some time, because you're going 3,000 miles away. It just doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah. So how long were you working your business in Florida?
I've been in that market now 20 years, and I'm still practicing there. And I have a small team of 2 other agents that help me there. Okay. But I'm very involved in everything, day to day. So I have not shut that off at all. I mean, in fact, I think that kind of helps propel my business actually out in California, because there's actually a lot of synergy I've found between people going between the 2 states. They like great weather. They like sunshine. Yes, there's some tax differences, but there's a lot of people that kind of have a foothold in both because it's very hot and humid in Florida in the summer, and it's probably not somewhere you want to be if you don't have to be. Mm-hmm. So they come out to California.
Interesting. So do you find yourself traveling back and forth frequently, or are you working a lot remote in Florida?
I do go back and forth. It hasn't been, on planes every month, certainly because of this pandemic.
Sure.
Over the last couple of years, I mean, my thought was I was going to be doing that, but then obviously the pandemic transformed a lot of the way in which we do business. Mm-hmm. And so that actually was a good thing with my move, because certainly we can be virtual. And we're able, and with the market as it is, there's no more coming in town to see a home because it's gone. There's even if you're a local, you may not even be able to get into it. So I think that really set me up well for this transition that I made.
Yeah. Do you think it is beneficial to you that they are? I know that area in Florida, definitely you have a second home market. And similarly, I would guess in California. So is that kind of primarily who you're working with, are buyers who are not local and there to see the properties, or is it kind of a mix?
It's definitely a mix. Northeast Florida is really a more year-round place, believe it or not. It's become that, certainly with the pandemic, because of a lot of elective moves. And there is an element of second homeowners that do, go back and forth to either the Northeast or, the Midwest, largely speaking. In Southern California, you really have a variety of everything. Second homes, third home owners, sure. and certainly plenty of local buyers, that are moving within the area as well.
Okay. So when you made your move to California and started working on building your business there, when was that? That was right before?
That was going back and forth a lot in 2018 and 2019.
Okay.
Late 2020 is when I got out to California full time. And that was right in the middle of the pandemic. And different states have different, handled it differently, but it was, there were not open houses that could be going on when I got out here.
Sure.
There was not a lot, there were no networking events or anything to really engage with people face to face at that time that I
So what did that look like? Like, what did you do? How did you get that business started?
Yeah, well, I used that time to establish my brand, get all of my, farming and that kind of strategy up and running. I put together a list of people that own property in both California and Florida. And then I drilled down further into who owns property in my market in California and my market in Florida. And there was
how did you come to find that information?
It's all in the tax records of your MLS. So if you know how to search that, right, by searching out of area owners and you put in the state, or you want to drill down further to, sure. city or zip code, you can do that. So because I'm also sort of branding as coast to coast. So I put those lists together because I think that's a unique farm to work because it starts the conversation in both markets. And it, even if it's not an area of Florida, they own property in Florida, but it's not an area I'm based in, then I can refer them.
Yeah. Yeah. So how much business are you doing that are referrals?
Most of my business does come from, personal referral, word of mouth. Of course, when you're in a new market, that's a little different because you're trying to get your name out there like everybody else.
Yeah.
So, the farming things in terms of doing farming activities like these, types of mailings or newsletters or whatever to get your word out there. And of course, building your social media presence in a new market is hugely important as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So starting out in a new market and having limited opportunities for face-to-face networking and things like that, you focused, it sounds like, when you say farming, you were doing like mailings
and building social media presence, creating videos. I mean, I had to set up, a whole host of social media accounts, or sites. It pointed to my branding out here, which is called Live Orange County. So, set up the Facebook business page. I have an Instagram page for that. And, just continuing to create content. I mean, obviously very blessed by beautiful scenery out here. So it's not hard to do that, and talk about the areas and just trying to, come build your brand and build being that expert.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to ask too, is in regard like the types of videos that you're doing. So you're doing like locational videos, like informational.
Yes.
Okay.
So, I mean, and some of the easiest things to do is to take your phone. You know, if I'm going to tour a property on broker open day, for example, or I'm in a neighborhood, well, this is a great way, you know, think of it ahead of time to create some content. So flip on the phone, put it on your dashboard, you know, phone holder, put the phone in airplane mode, hit record, and, you know, drive through the neighborhood and start talking about it. You know, maybe do a little study ahead of time, but that's what I've, you know, been doing, or I'll plot it out where I'll go and, you know, do that, you know, maybe 1 or 2 days and, you know, try to give people a flavor of what maybe this little beach town looks like, or driving through a certain, you know, area and give some context.
Yeah. Did you find that you had any pushback in regards to not having been doing business in California for a long time? Or are you fully owning it? You said you were kind of branding as bi-coastal. So what type of pushback did you get on that?
I haven't had any. I mean, I totally own it. You know, I have a Florida area code, and it's actually been a conversation starter. I mean, you know, some agents, you know, there's a lot of agents out in, you know, Orange County as well. And, you know, who's this person from Florida? But it's actually been a great icebreaker, because people ask, oh, where is that? They're not familiar with my area code. It's 949 in Orange County. It's 904 where I, you know, came from in Florida. And I think it's easier to remember, like if I call, or, you know, they're returning a text, and then it gets, oh, you know, oh, you did real estate in Florida. Oh, and then inevitably someone wants to talk about real estate in Florida with me. I've had agents say, oh, you know, I'm thinking about doing that, or I'd like to get my license, or I have a friend that lives here. So it's actually been a great, I think it's been a great tool. It's not something I've wanted to hide behind. I do have another cell number local to Orange County, and I have both numbers that come into my phone. Okay. So that's great for some lead generation where you're maybe dealing with, you know, people that don't know you at all, and might be like, who's this, you know, what's this 904? You know, if you're trying to incubate new clients that, you know, that you don't know, maybe, you know, you got it from a lead generation. It's interesting you mentioned that,
because I was just onboarding a new agent this week, and he has an out of area number. And I said, have you thought about changing this over? Because my concern would be people would see your area code and think, well, he doesn't know my area, so he's not, and just immediately dismiss him for that. So did you do that like through a specific service? Like I think like Google Voice or something like that. You can do that.
You can do that, but through my cell provider, which is AT&T. I mean, you can get what's called a dual SIM phone. iPhones are already dual SIM compatible. I learned way more about this than you probably want to know. But I went through it because I don't have an iPhone. Actually, I'm on the Samsung Galaxy track. I've always had those. So that was a little more difficult because not all of their phones were dual SIM. Okay. And I kind of went through some back and forth with AT&T because no one seemed to know the answer. But once you get that set up, it's an actual SIM in your phone. And then there's a digital SIM that would have to be downloaded. But it's 2 numbers coming into one phone line. And honestly, I feel like our world is so global today. You know, even in my market in Northeast Florida, there's tons of agents that have area codes from anywhere but 904.
Oh, really?
So yeah, I haven't really, you know, I return their calls or texts just as well. And I recognize, you know, look, people are on the move. And so where they started out is just, you know, their phone number that's going to carry with them through life. But I wasn't going to change my number because too many people know me at that. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, totally. And you're still doing the majority, would you say the majority of your business is still in Florida?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Is that purposeful, or is that a transition, or?
No, I want to keep it going. I mean, I think, you know, I've built all these relationships with people, and I've, you know, been in it now 20 years, and it's repeat and referral, largely speaking. And to me, to walk away from that and just refer it all off to other people would be horrible. And plus, I think, you know, I think being licensed in 2 states gives you a broader, more national perspective. Yeah. And I have my pulse on 2 markets, and that I think makes me able to better articulate a bigger picture as to what's going on. Because I'm definitely, seeing a lot of similarities between both of the markets I'm in. And I feel like the Florida market, which used to be, quote, more affordable, I mean, that's just shot up like a rocket in so many ways. I feel like it's becoming quickly like Southern California with a lot of the values and the challenges that are going on there.
Yeah. Yeah. So you've built a successful business over 20 years in Florida. Tell me about how that looked for you. You mentioned you have a small team now. How did you keep that business growing over 20 years? What type of lead generation or follow-up, or is there anything that you can think of that this is what took me from this level to this level, or kept me in the game?
When I got into the business, I passed my licensing test in late 2001, got up and running in early 2002. And that was when the internet was not where it is today. There wasn't Redfin, there wasn't Zillow like it is today. Consumers still didn't have all the information in their hands. So it was old school. It was doing floor time, it was doing open houses. And I should add, I'm not natively from Northeast Florida. We moved there for my husband's job. So I did not know anybody. I was not from the South.
So you've had to start from scratch twice.
Yes, I started from scratch. Wow. I had no connections to the business. And so I, built it one transaction at a time, the old fashioned way, went out and knocked doors, did floor time, did open houses, started getting some referrals, got involved in a lot of local organizations like my college alumni group, my sorority alumni group, and some bigger offshoots of that. And, it's not like, you just start out doing, 50 sales in your first year.
Right.
But, I worked everything and I was willing to go everywhere. And Jacksonville is very spread out. So I was, I went to all different sides of it, but that's how you learn your market. You can't just stay in one little zip code. You got to roll up your sleeves. I did the mobile home. I did the house that had, every problem imaginable on the home inspection. I mean, that was a good training ground. My second transaction in the business, it had structural problems. The well had low water pressure. The roof was shot. I mean, it just was the transaction that kept giving and giving and giving. I'm sure there was a septic tank issue too that I can't think about. But I think just, for me, I think I built my business on knowledge and reputation and skill. And so being extremely responsive, being a resource for people. I think at the end of the day, I mean, all this fluffy marketing is great. And I don't discount that it doesn't have its merit, but if the marketing doesn't match the agent at the end of the day, somebody hits, clicks because they liked your ad and you don't match up to what they were expecting, then that's all waste.
Right. Yeah. What type of touches do you use right now to keep in touch with your sphere or past clients or even prospects?
Do a lot of digital marketing. I send multiple things out, market updates, local event happenings, and of course, the normal holiday touches. And, personal reach outs are just, I think, hugely important right now. I think we're, it's all about getting back in touch with people. Obviously, because of the pandemic, you really haven't been able to see a lot of people over the last couple of years the way you would have in the past. So just trying to re-engage with those people, or even if it's just a quick text to say, oh, I was thinking about you, or try to find something like, oh, I saw this house in your neighborhood, come on the market at this is, everybody loves talking about the neighborhood houses for sale.
Yeah. And I just think people are yearning for that personal connection and just looking to create more of a normal connection with people. And you can't overstate just what it's the difference between hearing somebody's voice on the phone as opposed to, an email or something like that.
Well, we all get so many of them, as you know, and we just hit delete, and half of them you don't even know. If you send too many of these marketing emails, they probably are ending up in the junk spam folder. Right. So they're not even seeing it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned something about the consumer gratification need now is so much different than especially from when you started. And I started a little bit after you, so I've been doing it about 16 years, but very similar. The need to be on all the time, I think is the term you used, which I'm like, yes, that is exactly what it is. And the expectation for immediate information, immediate response. And it's not to be discounted because the just because of the inventory and the demand, there is a need for sure for like that instant showing, those types of things. But as far as the professional expectation and the gratification is so different than when we started. So do you have anything that you do to try to address that consumer need?
I mean, yeah, we're just, I think with social media, it's become more of that, instant gratification. I just try to respond. I really try to respond to, people when they reach out, even if I don't have time. Like just before we got on our podcast, I got a call from, a past client of mine who has just informed me that they're going to be relocating. And so I've got to, so I told him, hey, I'm about to be a guest on someone's podcast, but I will call you right after that. So at least just to acknowledge that their reach out, like even if, okay, I will just want to let you know, I did get your message. I will, look into this and I will get back to you, rather than just, I think people expect to hear something, because to me, I get that anxiety feeling. Like if I don't get back to somebody, like
just the acknowledgement,
like an hour, yeah, because you don't want them to think you don't care, or they'll just call somebody else.
I mean,
you never know, but people get impatient and antsy. And
are there any certain times where you say, you know what, today or during these hours or something, I'm not going to be answering my phone, or I'm not going to be checking my email or anything, to try to just take some non-business time?
I wish I could say that.
Yeah.
But I don't. I'm admittedly always on. I mean, I've traveled to Australia, here's an example, 3 different times, because my husband's job he got to go there for.
He really moves around a lot.
Yeah. Well, he wasn't moving, but it was a work related thing.
Yeah.
And I put an international plan on my phone. I had things going on. I had transactions. I mean, I had people, back in Florida helping me, but I was dealing with a really difficult repair negotiation. And I was so frustrated because the agents on the other side were not even reachable. And they were going into Thanksgiving in the US. And I'm like trying to do this. And how are these people sort of checked out? So I don't do well with, I'm not going to respond to my, phone between these hours today. The email is definitely challenging. I, turn off the notifications coming into my laptop, because then you'll get nothing done. But you really, you keep looking at your email, you will get nothing done.
Right.
So you really have to, sort of block it if you're trying to work on something that's you need to be free of distractions from.
Yeah, absolutely. Now you mentioned you do a lot of digital marketing. Do you set time aside every week to plan for your digital marketing, or do you kind of do it as it comes? Like you said, if you're in an area and you're doing a video, do you just blast it right away, or are you stockpiling? What's your system when it comes to that?
It's a hybrid. Some of my things are already set up to go out automatically at certain intervals, like the market updates, because they're created for me. So I don't have to think about that. That stuff just runs. Like there's a digital magazine, we have market update, local events. So that just is set up and it goes.
Is that somebody in-house, or do you have like a third party who does that for you?
My in-house marketing at my company in Florida does that.
Okay.
But the one in California, and I'm with Coldwell Banker, but the one in California, we have a lot of things. Yes, I have things that are set it and forget it. I mean, we know the piece that's going out. I can approve it or to say, no, I don't want to send it out. So at least there's something going out. But then the other things, I do have content that ends up being stockpiled because I do a lot of writing for Inman. I always have, usually a column that I want to share or post. Doing media commentary, which I get regular requests quite often. So I'm, always having, it seems like at any given time, there's 2 or 3 things that I need to share on social media, but I'll kind of space it out, so as not to like overrun. And then certainly the hyper local content, like, okay, I'm in this neighborhood, so I create that and then release it as I can, or, when it's appropriate, just so that I always have something that's, ready to share.
Yeah. Are you primarily Facebook and Instagram, or are you, what platforms are you using?
Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn as well.
Okay. Do you use a service
TikTok
that will post to all of them, or do you pick and choose?
I pick and choose. I do not use one of those. Although I do tend to share most of the content across all platforms. I mean, certain things like neighborhood videos, I'm not sharing to LinkedIn,
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm more hands-on with that.
Okay. Yeah. So kind of a mix of what you're kind of feeling at that time. How do you, I mean, you're obviously very professional. You're running 2 real estate businesses. You are performing at a high level in your business. So what types of things do you have in place to keep yourself at the top of your game? Do you have any routines that you follow? Do you have anything that's really important that you always make sure that you take care of so that the rest of your day goes as smoothly as possible?
Well, fitness is a big one for me.
Okay.
So I really, feel that, working out or just having some sort of exercise to me is really important. And if I don't do exercise, then I feel like, I don't feel as good about myself as when I do it.
Yeah.
So that's really important, whether it's, doing a workout, going to the gym, or, just doing, a walk. I mean, we're very blessed out here because we have these beautiful trails that go by the beach. So, that's probably first and foremost one of the most important things, and eating healthy. Just kind of a commitment to fitness and wellness, because I feel like if you don't take care of yourself in those aspects, then you can't perform at a high level.
So let's talk a minute about the clean eating, because I've always kind of had this. I've mentioned it to a couple people, and it's not the nicest thing to say, but I'm guilty of it myself. I happen to notice that people who get licensed and start in real estate probably gain about 20 pounds their first year in real estate. I imagine part of that is stress, but I know for me, it was, I had no idea how to manage my time in a way that allowed for me to eat healthy. So it was a lot of on the go, going through the drive-through, eating what was available, what was fast. How do you manage to continue to eat well with this high on demand, on all the time lifestyle?
Yeah, I mean, and I absolutely noticed that when I first got into the business, because I was conscious of, wow, I see a lot of these agents, I hate to say it, but it was sort of like the stereotype of the agent with the like big gulp, the huge soda, that they got from wherever, the fast food place. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to be that person.
Well, I said, like, it's like the freshman 15, like when you go to college. It was very similar.
I mean, I was, I'm just very disciplined, because that type of food is all around you, and all the different, luncheons and broker events, right? They love to, put out, I mean, nothing is ever good food, because agents aren't going to come if it's kale salad. Well, maybe they would out here in Orange County.
Well, that's one of the things, like, you want to go to the networking event, you want to go to this mixer, you want to go to this and this, and it's just, and it's everything that you shouldn't be having to have like a healthy, non-stress lifestyle. But, so I'm guilty of bringing my own salad to lunches.
I would put, I would, and being in Florida where it was very hot and humid all the time, I always had water on me, or if I was out showing property, certainly for the clients, water in a little cooler, in the back of the car, and, maybe some, and when I say, I know granola bars, there's different kinds, some have more sugar, some have more, but, maybe a healthier protein bar or something, just to keep your energy so you're not feeling faint. Certainly, and I just had a couple of those on me, because also, especially with clients, you're showing property 95-degree heat. It's the middle of the summer, and they're not, some of these people are just not used to that. Or you go into new construction and you're on a job site and you go up the stairs. And I remember a few times we were like, okay, we're feeling a little faint. Like we need to go back downstairs.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think, having the discipline, and then for me, smoothies are a great way to get all of your nutrients, and it's very filling, and it really keeps you throughout the day. So I really transformed the way I have eaten over the last couple of years. Doing like a kale berry smoothie, very easy to make, with a little bit of protein powder, and you're getting good stuff because you're getting the vitamin K with kale. You're getting all the things that the berries have, because to try to eat all this separately, you could do it. So I think smoothies are a great way to load up on good nutrients and vitamins on the go. Certainly, taking your vitamins, avoiding soda. I don't drink, Diet Coke. I used to, but I drink unsweetened iced tea now. So
yeah. And smoothies are great because you can make it in a hurry and grab it as you go out the door, and then you just have it in the car or whatever it is like that. Do you ever meal plan and have, like for dinners, for example, like plan it out, what you're going to have? Or I know California probably has a lot more like healthy food options too than some other places.
They do. I mean, well, and I'm my husband is more the cook. I will tell you that. So, because his schedule was more predictable than mine. So, that was a little easy. But I have tended to be, even if I was looking for something quick, okay, what can I do with a salad? You can always, quickly put a healthy salad together without a lot of, work. So, no, admittedly, no, I don't sit there and, plan, for the week. Although it would be helpful to do, especially like in the wintertime, because you can make some really healthy soups.
Oh yeah.
That can carry with you. That's another great meal on the go, that you can have this thing prepared and have it for a few days of the week.
Yeah. So when your day is starting, and where was I going? Because I had this thought in my head of your exercising in the morning and then you're making your smoothie. Is that typically how it goes, or do you kind of take the day as it comes, or do you have a plan? Like, when you go to bed at night the next day, this is what it's going to be like, or how are you balancing your time?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if I have a lot going on, then I have to get up and I have my list of, everything I have to do. And if I can do a workout in the morning, I will. Other times, if it's just going to be too busy, I do that later in the day. And see, for me, being on the West Coast, obviously the mornings can be very busy with East Coast work. But by about 2 or 3 o'clock in the West Coast, it kind of slows down. So for me to go, to do a walk or a workout at 4 or 5 o'clock my time, Pacific time, it's, actually a lot easier because there's less distractions. In the morning, it's a lot of texts and, emails.
Yeah, I didn't think of that. So you're probably 3 or 4 hour difference.
3 hours.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that's a whole other challenge that
it can be. I mean, in real estate, most things don't really get going before 10. But what I'll do is if I have to communicate things, I will just send text with a scheduled time the night before. So I'm not sending somebody a text, I'm very aware of, I don't want to it might be 9 o'clock my time, but it's been done there.
Is that a Samsung feature? Like, how do you schedule your texts?
Yeah. So I don't know if it's a Samsung specific. I'm looking on my phone, but you just type the text and then there's like a schedule, and then I can hit, when I want it to go, day and time.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I know I can't do that on my iPhone unless there's a separate messaging app that I'd have to download.
Oh,
but wow. iPhone doesn't like you using other people's apps. So but that's awesome. Unless there's something out there I'm not aware of, but that's really cool.
How it's like, even with emails, you can schedule an email.
Oh yeah. That I do all the time. I don't want people to know if I'm checking my email at 11 PM because then they'll think they can call me at 11 PM.
Right.
So I'll schedule it to go out the next morning or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a lifesaver. That and snoozing an email.
Yeah.
I like using that a lot too.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
And so then you just do you check your email in chunks kind of at
Yeah.
certain
So
times?
I don't like to have, I like to have an empty inbox. So for example, if I reply to somebody's email and I want to remember that I'm waiting for a response in case they don't get back to me, I can reply and then I can snooze the email, like let's say till tomorrow, so that it's out of my inbox. But I'll remember tomorrow when it pops back up again if I heard back from them or not.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, we could probably, I might have to talk to you offline about how to have an empty inbox, because
Yeah.
that is a challenge. I mean, I have so many folders for,
Yeah.
Buyers and all the properties, but just moving all this stuff off and then, saving, like we all get bombarded with a lot of content that we want to read at some point. So, shuffling that out, but then how are you going to remember to go back and look at it?
Well,
The
and
next day
those
you've
are
gotten,
sometimes things that I snooze too. So like association emails or Inman
yes,
emails, articles I
yes.
want to read, but I don't have time for right then. I might snooze those to Saturday morning, where I might have a little bit of downtime, or, I'm sitting at my kid's practice or something,
Yes.
and I can kind of read through them then. But then they're out of my inbox and I don't have to remember to go back and look for them later. They'll just pop up when I think I'm going to have time. And if I don't have time when it pops up, I'll just snooze it till the next day and then see if I have time that day. But then I don't forget about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So one other thing that I wanted to mention to you. So you do writing for Inman pretty regularly. How, I know I talk to a lot of realtors who say, I want to provide value. I want to be a resource of information for my clients and for my neighborhood. But where do I start? How do I come up with what I'm going to talk about? What type of content am I providing? How do you decide what you're going to write about?
It's challenging, right? I mean, for me, my inspiration has always come from being in the trenches and real world things that I've experienced or I'm seeing, current trends that I think need to be given point of view. So I think that's where an agent, should start from a place of something that's going to make them comfortable to talk about. Because if you're comfortable talking about it, it's going to be very easy to write about it. And I think there's so many things. I mean, it's not just right now, it's not just about, oh, the market's great and, the seller can make so much money on their house. Everybody knows that. I mean, I kind of laugh at these mailings I get to my house by these agents that spend all this money on these postcards about it's a seller's market. And I'm thinking, yeah. And so where are they supposed to go? Do you, you don't have any, do you want to tell them? I mean, is there any insight here about what does this mean? Right. I mean, great. Maybe I want to cash out of my house, but what do I do with it? Or, and no strategies, no insight or advice. So I think, there's so much that we can speak to, and really through writing and podcasts like this and other, content creation vehicles like a vlog, to show our insight and our expertise, because I think, consumers want to be educated, empowered, informed, enlightened, and entertained.
Yeah.
And if we can share a point of view that makes them feel, more confident about their decisions, but also wanting to engage with us or whoever the author is to help them do that.
Yeah. Do you ever get concerned about any feedback you might get from people who have a different point of view than you or see things differently? Are you ever afraid of putting yourself out there? And I think that's what draws people back to sometimes, is like, oh, what if somebody doesn't agree with me? What if somebody has something else to say?
Sure. And I think, I've tried to take a very diplomatic line in things that I have written, so as not to offend anybody or feel that I'm, alienating, someone over the other. I mean, I'm a straight shooter in how I paint things in my writing. And a lot of it is, I think, for me, touching on things I think that might need to be clarified or could be better done in our business, depending on different aspects of it. So, of course, like everything else, you can't make everybody happy all the time.
Yeah.
And there's always going to be somebody that's going to disagree with you. You know, sometimes I've had, agent comments that have, there's a lot of these armchair commenters that like to write back on Inman articles. But then I kind of want to say, well, you know what? They're always
write your own article.
New contributors, you know what? Yeah. So it's like, do you want to be the, solution or the problem? I mean, they're always looking for new voices. So share it, write it.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, Cara, this has been great. Thank you so much for taking your time today. I was really looking forward to talking to you, and I'm glad that we did. You have so much information to share. I really, really appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Angela. It's been great talking with you as well.
Thank you so much. And best of luck in your business this year on both coasts. And hopefully we'll connect sometime in the future.
Sounds great.
All right. Thank you. Have a great day.
You too.
If you have found value in these episodes, please be sure to share and subscribe. I have so much more in store with guests that I can't wait to learn from.